here with my review of the Mars 3. Well, the start of my review, the unboxing. So we've got the plastic cover, which you guys know I'm not a fan of these, but they keep the cost down. This one actually feels pretty good. It's flexible, it feels strong, pretty thick. I actually like whatever plastic they use for their cover pretty good. It's got a little design on it so you know where the front is, because on ones like this where it's not perfectly symmetrical, it is good to know where the front is. So that's a nice little touch they did there. Let's talk about the vat first. Vat is metal, nice and heavy. It's got little handles, which is good. On a small printer, usually you don't get handles. I like to see handles. The other thing is it has, which I love, even on a small printer, it's got feet. So I can put the vat down without scratching up my FEP. Now when I push down on the FEP to get to the table, there's not much room there. I actually fear if I had this loaded with resin, there might be enough weight to stretch the FEP to where it might be in contact with the table. So I wouldn't slap this around full of resin, but with no resin in it, you can safely set it down. It's not touching the table, so that's nice. Then those four little legs, there's little holes there. So you can just fit the build plate right in. Another nice touch, fits in perfectly. And then you have the screws go in. It's got on-off switch in the front. Plastic button. Now I don't feel, it's a little cheapy, but I think most on-off switches are some form of plastic anyway. This seems okay. Doesn't feel like it's gonna break. To be honest, I leave mine mostly plugged in and on. Never seem to have any ill effect, although I've heard even manufacturers say leaving them on shortens the life of the screen. I mean, I've had my, like for instance, my 4 Sonic Mini 4Ks on for 8 months straight without ever turning them off, and doesn't seem to have had any effect. USB port in the front. Now see, I like this. I know a lot of people don't like it in the front. They like it on the side or even the back, which I find weird, but they're afraid if they spill resin, it'll get into the port, but you'd have to really spill a lot of resin. In thousands of prints and using 20 different printers, I've thankfully never had a catastrophe that bad yet. Hopefully I won't. So for me personally, I love the USB in the front where I can get at it. Screen comes pre-taped, which is nice. I think that's standard these days for everyone. Arm is nice and solid there. Oh, well, let's talk about the machine in general. Machine in general is light, really light for a printer, like surprisingly light. So this whole body is plastic, it feels like, and this top part here, this thin reddish, I don't know what color that is, bronzish layer is auburn. This layer is metal. Let's check. The Z looks the same as the Mars 2 Pro that I have. The rod itself feels stable. Let's see the arm. You know what? I don't know if the printer moved or if I flexed it. Hold on. That actually looked. Let me secure it. You know what? I was able to actually move it a little bit. The arm, I was able to move it this way. You know, what I would call from this position forward towards you, forward towards the build. Scott, I want to make sure I'm not moving the table or yeah, it's got a little flex to it, I have to say. Now, does that worry me? Not really, because a lot of people, and some people said there's a problem with the Sonic Mini 4K, that actually had a little flex. I think mine, when I had a little flex in the arm itself, but honestly, and everyone's mileage may vary, I have 4 Sonic Mini 4Ks. One that I was given a review, and then 3 more that I bought just, like off Amazon. No special treatment for me because I have a YouTube channel. Just bought 3 more Sonic Mini 4Ks. They all print great. So even though they all actually do have a little bit of flex, no effect on the printing. So like on my Sonic Mini 4Ks, I know some people have complained about it, and some people said it was affecting their print or they were getting some splash or some stuff like that. I never had any splash on any of my Sonic Mini 4Ks. And also, they all print amazing. So, you know, if this flexes during printing, which it might, given that I can flex it like this, well, we'll see. Honestly, that doesn't make me nervous, because when a build plate peels off, right, and the FEP peels off the print, it peels off like this, right, gradually anyway. So if there's a tiny little bit of flex, it'll just change the way it peels. I mean, the important thing on a Z, the most important thing, I think side to side movement to me feels worse, because that would indicate that it's something's off when it's going up and down. It's actually moving side to side as opposed to flexing from a little bit of pressure like the Sonic Mini 4K does. So as long as your build plate returns the exact same place that it left, your print theoretically should be okay. So we'll see. This might not even, what I'm doing, we'll see if that has any impact or not. Build plate sloped, not as sloped as I'd like to see. I like a little more slope than this. They should learn from EPAX and slope it up a little. There's room here too. They should slope it up a little more. It's got the ball joint. Ball joint, my second favorite. I happen to prefer 4-screw leveling system because once you lock it in, it'll never ever move. Now, I never had a problem, by the way, with my Mars 2 Pro or my Saturn. I never had a problem with my ball joint. I never had a problem with the build plate actually shifting. But I know anecdotally from reading tons and tons of posts from other people, and my guess is it's user error. They didn't tighten the screws enough. People, when they go to remove prints, and putting a lot of pressure on it, they might actually move the build plate, and then they're off level. So for that reason, I always say I prefer the 4-screw leveling system. But like I said, at the same time, I've never had the ball joint leveling system mess up for me. So maybe I shouldn't be biased that way. But I just feel overall for general users, it's harder to make an error with the 4-screw leveling system to me than the ball joint. So I just think it's a little bit better. But Elegoo seems to be very stuck on their ball joint. It's not really a negative to me, but I would just prefer the other one. So I think that's it. The important thing these days for me, and it's taking more and more precedence the more that I've done this and tested various printers, is how uniform the light source is, because you want to be able to print, a nice full plate. You don't want to worry about supports failing because there's gridding and your supports happen to be in a cold spot and they don't print right. So light source extremely important in my opinion these days. And then obviously the most important thing for me is how does it print, right? Because you can have the best build quality, you can have the hinge door, you can have everything, but if it doesn't print reliably and accurately, then the bells and whistles don't matter. To me, I would even take a printer like this, plastic, lightweight, like whatever it is. If it prints great, then I want it, right? That's what I go by, and then is how it prints. Not the name on the printer, not the brand, not anything, just how it prints is paramount to me. Do I like bells and whistles? Yes. So do I like a full metal box with the hinge doors or the hinge lid, the best one that EPAX has? Yes, I like that better. I know it costs more also. So when you want to pay less, they have to cut in some places. So you get, a lightweight. I mean, this thing weighs, I'm serious, this thing probably only weighs like 6-7 pounds. It's really light. But anyway, like I said, what's important to me now is light source test, and then how does this thing print? So let me go check that out for a couple days, then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. I'm back after testing for a couple of days with the Mars 3. I have a lot more prints that I didn't bring down because what I did was I printed some of the same figure over and over again, loaded up the plate with them, to check all the corners and all that stuff. So I didn't bring everything down for filming. What I did was I had my Turtle Monk from Pit Fighter. I have my Elf Maid from Pit Fighter. Turtle Monk, by the way, looks a little big. I mistakenly printed, I think, a file that was about 20% bigger, but that's okay. And then my Turtle Monk from an upcoming Kickstarter I'm working on, hopefully launching in about 2 months. Hopefully you guys will all support some incredible models. But anyway, let's talk about this Mars 3. Light source. Light source was absolutely fantastic. Best light source I've ever tested. As good as, if you look, I did a Unis IB, and the light source test on that was incredible. This one was absolutely perfect on the Mars 3, corner to corner, uniform light. I was super impressed what they did with the light source. But now we have to talk a little bit about the elephant in the room. And no, I don't mean an elephant that I printed up. There is Z-wobble on this. And now I'm going to say something that people are probably going to think I'm crazy. I'm going to follow that up with, but I don't care. So first off, let's look at the Z-wobble in a video. And while this video is running, you'll see that the Z-rod arm is kind of flexing, I would say, in a little bit toward the build plate and then straightening up, as you can see pretty clearly. Now, I saw also Veg Oil Guy did a nice review of this, and he also saw this Z-wobble and was hoping his was isolated. Obviously, it's not, because I have the same thing. In fact, I think mine maybe more pronounced than his was. Now I'm going to say, now here's the crazy thing I'm going to say. I don't care. Now you say to me, wait a second, if you have Z-wobble, how could you not care? That's going to ruin your prints. Here, I think I'm going to disagree with that statement in general because, and I'm going to have some caveats in there also. If when the plate is moving up and down, it's going, kind of side to side as it pulls off or something, I think it's definitely going to affect the prints negatively. And I remember, let's go back. We're building layer by layer. So as long as when the build plate comes down to press the next layer, it's in the right spot, you're going to get a perfect print. Like I got perfect prints. You see the pictures. I got perfect prints of these guys despite this Z-arm wobble. So how can I get perfect prints if Z-arm wobble is so bad? Let's think about it. So build plate comes down. As long as it comes down to the exact same spot every time and lifts straight off, not to the sides, you should still be able to get perfect prints, even if the arm is flexing or bending a little bit, because as long as it comes down to the exact same spot, the next layer is in the right spot. And then if it's lifting off like this, it's just changing slightly the way it peels, which because the FEP is flexible, your model doesn't peel off all at once anyway. It peels off, the edges and then the middle last. So the arm bending a little bit in just means as it lifts up, this part is going to peel before this part. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, to some degree, that can help you get more successful prints. You get a more gradual peel. I'm not saying you want Z-wobble. I'm just saying the impact of Z-wobble when it's just a straight flex toward the plate a little bit, I actually don't think it has any impact on your prints. So I know people are going to argue with me on this. I'm going to go ahead and say this Z-wobble doesn't bother me. Now, I guess if you have enough Z-wobble, you could get the effect, which some people report on our Sonic Mini 4Ks, which I never had actually, that some people say they get a splash because as the arm rebounds from the flex, it could spray resin. Well, it didn't happen on my Mars 3 at all. No resin, forget getting over the covering, no resin even left the vat in any way, shape, or form, or even went up on my vat. And it's not happening on my Sonic Mini 4Ks either. So, different people have different experiences. I'm not denigrating their experiences or saying it's not true, but I have 4 Sonic Mini 4Ks and that's never happened to me. And this Mars 3, I watched it, I watched the Z-wobble, I sat and stared in the vat to see was anything flying out, was anything going on. No. And the prints came out absolutely pristine. These prints are amazing. You can judge for yourself by looking at the pictures, right? So you can see what it did. So I know people are going to say I'm crazy for this. This Z-wobble literally does not bother me at all. If it's not affecting my prints at all, then I actually don't care about it. So I personally think, Z wobbling somehow side to side as it moves up and down is worse than a little front to back. And again, anyone feel free, of course, to disagree or tell me why they think it's bad. But to me, again, the best evidence of how something is effective is to look at actual prints. Instead of theory crafting, you print. And the prints came out amazing. So despite this Z-wobble, I still wouldn't hesitate to recommend this printer because it's given me some of the best prints I've ever gotten. And these might be the best prints I've ever gotten, actually. So, that Z-wobble, although in theory it's a concern to me, in practical experience, doesn't really seem to be that big a concern for me. I guess the only concern for me would be, on my specific machine, for prints like this, I could care less. If you give me flawless prints, I could care less if it flexes a little bit. Why would I care? Maybe, and I don't know this, I am going to go into the theory crafting. Maybe over time, maybe that flex would become more, and then maybe it would have some adverse effect on the print or some negative impact. Maybe if it gets worse and worse over time, maybe I get the splashing, or maybe I get some lines in my print, which I didn't get. But again, I'm theory crafting. I'm not sure that would ever happen. If the flex just stays like it is now, like I just showed in my video, even though it might look bad, it has literally no impact on my prints. Why would I care, right? So if anyone's scared of that for any reason, then, wait, maybe Elegoo will fix that. Maybe they will say, hey, it prints great, we don't need to fix that. Who knows? They, as a company, seem to have been pretty responsive to any problems in the past. So let's wait and see what they do with that. But like for people who pre-ordered, I'm already going to order more. I'm not waiting for any fixes. Mine prints incredible, so that little bit of flex to me, whatever, doesn't bother me. The other two elephants in the room. The other elephant in the room to talk about, I guess, that we should mention is, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that this is a Chidu box locked printer, meaning I think this has the new Chidu box board. And as I understand it, I'm not an expert in this. I haven't seen enough on this yet to know how true it is, but I believe this board is encrypted and will not work with Lychee. Now, did I use Lychee to prepare these? Yes, I did. So I supported these in Lychee, and then I just took them into Chitterbox Pro, which comes with the printer for a year. I just took it into Chitterbox and sliced it and printed great. So if anyone has any concerns that Lychee sliced files won't work with the new printers that are Chitterbox locked, if they really are, that concern can go out the window, because these were supported in Lychee and then sliced in Chidu, and they came out absolutely flawless. Well, again, you see the pictures, so you can judge. So, but I know some people are just offended by the practice in general. So that's again a personal thing for people, whether that's going to affect their purchasing decisions or not. Personally, I don't like what Chidu did. If this board is locked, I don't like that. But honestly, it won't stop me from using a Mars 3 or from buying more of them, honestly, because for me, I'm still mostly concerned with the prints I get. So there's a lot to unpack here, actually, in terms of, there's a couple of things that people might not like. The Z wobble. I like to actually call it more of a flex than a wobble. To me, wobble means, it'd be kind of like a circular motion or a back and forth motion, where this is, I think it's flexing in a tiny little bit, and then as it lifts, it flexes back. I guess we call that a wobble too. But anyway, if it had affected my prints at all, you'd be hearing me talking about it a lot differently, because I'd be saying, hey, don't buy this printer. It's got this wobble effect and it's negatively affecting the prints. Instead, my prints came out, 100% gorgeous. So I'm actually on the side of, well, I see wobble, but I don't see it have any impact, so I don't really care. And I know some people are going to say, look, if I see wobble, I just don't want it. I guess I can understand that, but to me, the more important thing is, how does it print? And if the wobble doesn't seem to affect the prints, even though I don't love it, I prefer to see no wobble, obviously. If the Z was, perfectly rigid and never moved at all, obviously I would think that's better, even though I'm not sure why that is, if the prints aren't affected either way, but that is just how my brain works. You don't want to see anything like that. So anyway, I'm not going to tell anyone to run out and buy this. Definitely not going to tell anyone to not buy it, though. And I would say, if you have a pre-order, based on my printing experience, again, I printed a lot more than this. I printed like another 20 models, and all of them came out flawless. So I would say, if this Z wobble issue, if it has any effect, it is not noticeable, not only to the naked eye in a print, but in these close-up high-res photos, I can't see any evidence of, like I said, these are literally probably the best prints I've ever gotten. Like this Elf Mage, he has here on the belt, there's a tiny little dragon head, which might be maybe 2 to 3 millimeters max. I'm going to show you a picture now of him tilted back, because the way he's angled, it's a little hard to see from the head-on picture. But I show him tilted back, and you can see the detail it printed out. It's absolutely incredible. What this printer did, just picked up every single detail of the sculpt, the way it was sculpted, which is, that's all I want from a printer. I want to print what the artist made, and this printer does it. So again, I'm not pushing this printer, because I don't care. If people buy this printer, I don't make anything. If people don't buy this printer, I still don't make anything. So I don't care either way. I'm not even posting an affiliate link with this video, because I don't want to make money off people buying stuff that I show in my videos, because I don't want people to think my videos are influenced by whether I get a commission or not, or an affiliate sale or whatever. So I'm not even doing that. So I literally don't care if anyone buys this printer or not. But I personally, honestly, I'm probably going to buy 2 to 3. I'm not sure how many more. I'm going to buy 2 to 3 more of these based on how it's printing. Just the same way I deal with my Sonic Mini 4K. Because when something prints this good, I want more, but I want to be able to, because I print a lot. So I print a lot of figures. So, I'm just going by performance, incredible. So if that Z wobble worries you, then it worries you. I would never say to someone, you're wrong for being worried about it. But again, I would say it didn't seem to affect the prints at all. So, it does seem to be, though, an actual issue with the machine in that I know Veg Oil guy, I think, had the same problem. And I said, I think even to a slightly lesser degree than I did. From watching his video, it didn't seem to affect his prints either. So, again, I don't know which way that cuts. We both have this wobble and didn't seem to affect either of our prints at all. So, take that for what it's worth. I think it's a great printer despite that, to be honest. I keep saying it, but you know how I go. I go by how it prints. Because I've had printers that have no wobble at all and don't print as good as this. So because they don't have wobble, does that make them better? No, they don't print as well. They're not as good. That's my opinion. So again, this for whatever else I do in a review, whether I like the slope on the build plate or not, or like the plastic cover or not, or blah, blah, blah. In the end, personally, when I'm reviewing these as a consumer, I only care really about 2 things. One, the light source test, because that for sure, the uniformity of the light, we know for a fact, and I know from my anecdotal evidence from all the thousands of prints I've done, that a totally uniform light source is better than one that's not uniform, right? That I'm 100% sure of. So I'm very concerned with the light source test. And like I said, for a small printer, this one did the best I've ever seen. And then after that, I'm only concerned with how does it print? Is it repeatable? How reliable is it? And this, for the 4 days maybe now, I've been printing with it, has not even remotely had anything near a failed print. Every one of those tiny little micro supports I used, some of them on these were down to 0.05 millimeters, which, it's almost nothing. They all printed out 100% perfectly. So, for me, I would actually endorse this printer and say, I think it's an excellent printer. I do understand reservations, though, for the 2 elephants, which is if that arm moving bothers you, it does. And if it being locked, which I won't say 100% I'm sure of this, because until I see Lychee attempt to add a printer like this and tell me they can't because it's encrypted, well, let's go on the assumption that this is Chidu box locked for now. And if that bothers you just from a business standpoint or just ideology, then that's just a personal thing as well. To me, it bothers me, but not to the extent where I'm like boycotting any product made with it. Although I'm not happy about it. If you saw my other video where, and if you watch Uncle Jesse's video and then my kind of response video, you'll see, we're both pretty unhappy with Chitterbox's decision. I'm still hoping, Chitterbox, if you're watching this review for any reason, please reverse that. Don't encrypt your boards if that's what you're doing. Just keep it open source. Although that's not really a topic for you. So anyway, that is my review of the Mars 3. Again, and if people want to argue with me that I shouldn't endorse this printer because it has the wobble, please go ahead. But again, I'm going by my print quality. And in the end, if something prints amazing, it prints amazing. That it is what it is. If it printed badly, if these prints were bad, I would show you the bad prints and say, hey, this wobble is affecting my prints. Stay away from this printer. That's not what happened. It's just not what happened. So my honest opinion is, if I get great prints, I like the printer. It's that simple, right? So that's it. So please please subscribe. Oh, check out Veg Oil Guy's review though, and see. If you're concerned with this issue, I think watch his review because he has the same issue. So you can also see his test prints, and and then you can judge for yourself. And I'm sure some more reviews will be coming out soon. So what I would tell anyone to do is on the fence or worried about this issue, just see how everyone's prints come out and judge. I mean, in the end, I think everyone should just judge by the prints. And again, like I said, I don't care. If you guys buy this machine, I don't care. If you don't buy the machine, I also don't care. I personally am going to buy some more because results are the results. So that's it. Please like, please subscribe. Hey, if you need any help supporting your models, check out all my instructional videos on how to support models and the theory behind where, when and where to use bigger supports versus lighter supports, blah, blah, blah. It's all in there. Kickstarter coming out in about 2 months. Going to be awesome. Chris and I have been working hard on this for 6 months already, using everything we learned from the first 2 Kickstarters. We're going to have amazing figures in amazing poses and just all kind of great stuff with a very unique style and easy to print, easy to paint. All the key stuff is going to be there for you guys. So that's it. Thanks, and happy 3D printing.